Okay, good evening. Welcome to our nutrition group. Tonight, we're going to talk about New Year's resolution, smart goal setting. As usual, we have our fantastic registered dietitian, Meghann Talkington. She's a certified specialist. She's a certified specialist, easy for me to say, in obesity and weight management, a certified wellness practitioner, and she's worked in various settings, providing medical nutrition therapy and counseling to individuals of all ages. We are lucky to have her here at Premier U. What we love about using Meghann at Premier U and having her on in our team is that we understand that losing weight could come from lots of aspects. When we try to get down to the root cause issues. So nutrition can be really tough. That could be one of those root cause issues, is that we could talk about protein, healthy fats, what to do, but what does that mean? How do we get started? We are such in a fast environment, a fast world. Fast food, easy snacks are just the easiest way to go. And if you haven't, last month, Meghann did a great job of talking about just that when we're on the go and what we need, how we can still fuel our body with the right things. So definitely make sure that you are watching our library of these nutrition groups. But tonight we're going to talk about New Year's resolution. Woohoo! I wish I still had the blower, but I don't, right? So we're excited to talk about that because let's face it, January 1st, gosh, it hit us so fast. And I think those goals, we had them set, and some people never started. We had if you're in the Midwest watching this, we've had the ice, we've had the snow, and there's been a million excuses of why maybe we didn't start that gym membership. I'm guilty of that as well. Or that meal prep because we haven't really got to the store to really get in there, or whatever it is. No shame in that game. We just know you have to get started sometime. And nutrition is the greatest way to kind of get started. So I'm going to hand it over to Meghann, and we're going to talk about how to get you set for the new year, not to stress, but to get you set on the right path. Thank you, Meghann, for tonight, and you can get started.
All right. Hi, I'm Meghann Talkington. Nice to see everyone tonight. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. All right. New Year's resolutions and smart goal setting. Presented by myself, along with Premier U, locations in Swansea, Marion, and St. Louis, South County. Learning objectives for today. We're going to learn how and why to set healthy New Year resolutions. We want to understand why these are lifestyle modifications versus temporary expectations, how to discover and set SMART goals, and then acquiring tips to stay on track with those goals we're setting. Healthy New Year resolutions. The difference between a lifestyle modification and a temporary resolution lies in the scope, mindset, and sustainability of the goal. The definition of a lifestyle modification, these are long-term changes that affect behavior. So behavior modifications, lifestyle modifications, however you want to word this, but these are long-term changes, not temporarily. They're aimed at overall well-being and our quality of life. They should be focused on creating sustainable, lifelong improvements to include things as better health, mental clarity, or productivity. It involves a consistent, gradual shift that eventually become part of our daily routine. These could be things like adopting a balanced diet, exercising regularly, improving our sleep hygiene, and reducing screen time. The mindset for lifestyle modification is commitment to ongoing growth, often based on intrinsic motivation and long-term goals. Results lead to lasting improvements. They reduce the likelihood of reverting to old habits, and it integrates seamlessly into life over time. Temporary resolutions are a little different. They're typically short-term goals. They are promises of change, often made for specific occasions or challenges, like New Year's resolutions. I see a lot of in the corporate workplace, like a Biggest Loser challenge that typically happens around this time of year. They're usually about 6 weeks. Somebody will try really hard to win that Biggest Loser challenge, and then everything that they've done kind of falls by the wayside. That's not the point of what we're doing for lifestyle modifications. The purpose of temporary resolutions, these are quick fixes, achieving a specific goal within a limited time frame. They are frequently abrupt, intense changes and lack that long-term planning. Something like a crash diet or fad diets where you want this quick weight loss, but nothing's going to be sustainable. The mindset with temporary resolutions is often driven by external pressure or immediate gratification with less focus on sustainability. Results are often fleeting, and there's a higher likelihood of reverting to previous behaviors once the goal or the time frame has ended. Key differences between a lifestyle modification and a temporary resolution is the time frame. Lifestyle modifications are ongoing, they are sustainable. You should be able to continue them daily for the rest of your life if it's still appropriate. The temporary ones are definitely, that's what they are. They're temporary. They're usually short, quick term fixes, and they're very difficult to maintain. The motivation is different. Lifestyle changes come from a deeper sense of purpose, while resolutions are often tied to external milestones or events. Lifestyle modifications tend to have higher success rates due to their gradual and realistic approach. How to transform resolutions into lifestyle modifications. Set realistic goals. Start small and build habits incrementally. If your New Year's resolution per se, which should become your lifestyle modification, is to increase physical activity, recommendations are for 150 minutes a week, which is about 30 minutes, 5 days a week. If you don't have that now and you currently don't have a routine and you're going to go from 0 to 5 days a week, that's a big shift. Take that in smaller increments. Maybe start with 3 days a week for 20 minutes. And as you build up tolerance to the activity, you build up the time and the duration and how frequently you're going. Focus on habits, not on outcomes. So the habit that you're trying to do to lose weight is a habit of having good nutrition. You're eating foods that are good for you, focusing on including in fiber and fruits and vegetables and anti-inflammatory lean proteins. We're not focusing on fad diets or these short-term fixes to get to where we want to be. Typically, those fad diets and short-term fixes may get us to where we want to be faster, but we're going to revert back sooner. You want to be patient. Recognize that lasting change takes time and consistency. This is a big one with weight loss. We didn't gain weight within a matter of weeks, likely, so we're not going to lose it within a matter of weeks, likely. Evaluate regularity. Reflect on progress and adjust your approach as needed. So if you're going to reduce dining out to twice a week, but you realize that with the convenience of life and what's happening isn't allowing you to do that, reflect on that and decide to maybe I need to go out to eat, but I'm going to make healthier choices and watch those portions and have a more mindful set of what I'm doing in that moment. Staying flexible. Adapt to challenges without abandoning your overall goals. You're always going to have changes, and learning how to adapt to that is going to be beneficial. This is where I feel about meal planning. Meal planning is fantastic for this reason. So if you're meal planning and you have different meals, like have a variety of meals that you know work for you in the back of your head or in like this recipe box that you can build off it at any time. When you put yourself in a situation where you don't know what to eat or you have too many choices on what to do with your food, this is where we tend to struggle, and that mindset shifts away from the healthier option. So having a plan ahead of time of what your options are for convenience times, for times where you just don't have enough time to cook, for times where you're not going to be at home. Meal planning is a great way to help with this. Lifestyle versus resolutions. Embracing lifestyle modification leads to sustainable growth, while temporary resolutions often offer a quick start but little longevity. Now let's talk about SMART goals. These are goals that we typically set to help us stay on a specific track to meet our overall goal. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. They require focus, consistency, and good planning. It also is more effective to set goals with these SMART parameters because it makes you more self-accountable to what you're doing. Define these goals clearly. Ensure your goals are well-defined and aligned with the SMART criteria. Write them down to solidify your commitment and make them easier to track. An example, let's go back to physical activities. I find this one just is easier to kind of make this very specific. Instead of saying, I'm going to start going to the gym, that's vague. When are you going to start going to the gym? You need to have a plan specifically on when that's going to start. So a SMART goal would be something like, I am going to do a cycling class for 30 minutes, 5 days a week, starting tomorrow. That is specific. You have a time that you're going to do it. You know when you're going to do it. You know for how long you're going to do it, and you know what you are going to do. So keeping those goals specific helps you achieve them and to be able to obtain these lifestyle modifications easier. Break goals into smaller steps. Divide your larger goal into manageable tasks or milestones and focus on completing one step at a time to avoid feeling overwhelmed. This can be your overall weight goal. Say overall, your goal is to lose 50 pounds. It's hard to set that immediately as your goal, like I'm going to lose 50 pounds. Okay, so it may take you months to lose 50 pounds, which it should, because that means you have sustainable lifestyle modifications in place to keep everything that you're doing ongoing. If you're losing 50 pounds in 3 months, one, I'm going to be concerned for malnutrition, and two, it's likely not going to be sustained. So break your weight loss goals into smaller increments. Say you want to lose 2 pounds per week for the first month. This is more of a sustainable goal. It is something that is realistic, it's easier to obtain, and it's a healthier way to maintain those lifestyle modifications. Create a plan. Develop a detailed action plan with deadlines for each task. Say, like using tools, calendars, to-do lists, project management apps. This can be done going back to meal planning. There's plenty of apps out there that can help you meal plan. There's apps for specific like food movements. Like if you wanted to do whole food plant-based, Forks Over Knives has a great app for this. They give you a whole toolbox of recipes. You pick the recipe out. They repeat them throughout the week so you can continue with the same food, to where maybe you have 5 recipes within a week with black beans. So you can make a larger batch of black beans and then divvy them up throughout the week into different recipes. You could also do this with things like chicken or fish. Make larger portions, find multiple recipes to use, and batch cook that main item and spread it out throughout the week. You know you're going to have chicken left over in the refrigerator or the freezer to use. These apps will also let you then take all those ingredients, put them into a shopping list for you. So when you go to the store, you know specifically what it is that you're buying, and then it breaks it up and repeats them so you have leftovers throughout the week. So this is a great way to make a plan so you know what you're going to eat at any given meal of any given day. So it decreases the chance of you coming off of that plan and making a less healthy or less mindful food choice. Set priorities. Focus on tasks that have a significant impact to your progress. Learn to say no to distractions or activities that do not align with your goals. Monitor your progress. Regularly review your progress using measurable benchmarks. Reflect back on things that maybe you could have done differently. So say there was a time where you didn't meal plan, you got into a crunch with convenience, you needed something quick, and you went out for fast food. Is it the end of the world? No, but you can reflect back on that and be like, oh, maybe instead of going to McDonald's, I could have just made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at home. The amount of time that would have taken to get out the bread, the peanut butter, the jelly, and put that together, and the amount of time it would have taken you to wait in the drive-through, order the food, wait in the drive-through, pick up the food, likely would have saved you much more time and it would have been a healthier option. Stay accountable. This one is very important. Share your goals with a trusted friend, mentor, or accountability partner. Consider joining groups or communities that work towards similar objectives. This could be something too with working out. If it's a struggle for you to get to the gym, even if you have home equipment to use, because this is like me, I can't work out in my house. I I work out regularly. I know it needs to be done, but if you leave me at home to my own devices, I will find anything else to do but getting that done. I will clean and I will rearrange this and I will fix that and I will tidy this up and I won't actually get done what I was aiming to do. I need to be in that environment. So knowing that about yourself is a great way to stay accountable to what you're doing. Um, this can also be if you go to the gym and you're just overwhelmed with what to do, right? There's treadmills, there's ellipticals, there's row machines, there's bikes, there's a plethora of equipment to use for strength training, and you don't really know what to do. Take a class. A class is streamlined, it's structured, you have somebody leading it who's hopefully also going to advise you if you're doing something incorrectly or to be doing it better. And you have other people there that are now looking for you, so it keeps you accountable to what you're doing. Celebrate your milestones. Recognize and reward yourself for achieving milestones along the way. Positive reinforcement keeps you motivated and engaged. Just be mindful of this one. Reward should not necessarily be food-based. If you did really well and you're like, okay, I stuck to my meal plan this week. I went to the gym every day I said I was going to. I've lost 2 pounds. This is fantastic. But don't go reward yourself with a large piece of cake necessarily. If you want to reward yourself with cake, go for it. Keep it in moderation. Smaller portion size. Make sure you're not overdoing it and it's balanced into your diet plan for that day because you meal planned it in. Or reward yourself with a trip to the spa or get a manicure or pedicure. These are equal rewards that don't necessarily have to involve food. Develop resilience. Anticipate challenges and have a plan to address setbacks. Stay flexible and view obstacles as learning opportunities. I hear the comment a lot like, just give me a meal plan and I will follow it. All you have to do is tell me what to eat every single meal of every single day and I'm going to do it. That sounds wonderful. It is unrealistic. There is rarely going to be a time where you're going to 100% be able to stick to a meal plan that was given to you. Things happen in life. Stuff comes up and that plan will get changed. What are you going to do? Now you're stuck in a situation where you have this meal plan, but none of these things are available to you. And you don't have the tools that you need to make that decision yourself to keep a mindful nutrition plan ongoing for whatever that is. So I typically don't like just handing over meal plans that are so specific that you don't have the tools and resources to be able to make one yourself if you get stuck in a different situation. Stay organized. Keep all your resources and information related to your goal easily accessible. Use digital tools, notebooks, any sort of organization to keep your thoughts and track your progress. I know people even put Post-it notes on their mirrors, or you can write with an erasable marker on your mirror that just gives you little tidbits throughout the day of things to remember to do. You could also write things that are like motivational little statements to yourself on the mirror, someplace on a Post-it note, someplace where you can see it and reflect on it on a regular basis. So you have this reminder of why you're doing what you're doing. Maintain focus. Set aside dedicated time whenever you need to, once a week, once a day, to work on where you're at with your goals. Practice mindfulness or time blocking techniques to minimize distractions. reflect and adjust. Regularly assess whether what your goals are still relevant to you, realistic, and something that you actually want to do. Make necessary changes to ensure they remain achievable. By maintaining consistent effort and a structured approach, you'll be able to accomplish your SMART goals easier, or just easy in general, because you have something very specific to look forward to. That self-accountability is more present. This is this little roadmap to create SMART goals. I apologize, it's a little blurry. But it's basically just mapping in general. I know you can't really read what it says, but map it out. Create exactly what you're going to do and when you're going to get there. That was the end of the slides, but just something quick is, avoid making decisions as much as possible. I know this sounds weird because we want to make decisions, but what I mean by this is don't get yourself stuck in a bind where you don't know what to do. Have a plan, okay? Have a backup plan, have something in your head so you're not making 20 decisions. You have it limited to maybe 3. Make decisions when decisions are needed. Try to make them in advance. Again, kind of going, I know I'm really focusing on meal planning today, but this is why it's so important, because if you meal plan or have somewhat of an idea what you're going to do at any given meal, even if you are a repetitive eater, this is still something, so it leaves less opportunity for you to make a less mindful food choice. Change your environment to break bad habits. If you know when you go out to eat with your coworkers after work that you're going to order the wings and the fries and have a couple beers, and you really don't want to be doing that, change your environment. Maybe you have to skip a time going just because you don't have maybe enough motivation to control not ordering those things when you're there. So if you take yourself out of the environment, it decreases the anxiety and that from happening. Or learn how to navigate through that. And, if you're still going to do it, you're going to go get a salad and you're going to have water and it's going to be okay. And nobody's going to say anything to you because this is your choice and you're doing it for your health and for the betterment of yourself. Don't let yourself get too hungry. This is a big one. Sorry. If you let yourself get too hungry, it changes our mindset. We get to the point where we're like, oh my gosh, we need food and we need it now. Like where we're getting hangry, right? And we are now just going to grab anything we can find. It's going to be the bag of chips. It's going to be the candy that was left over from Halloween. Even though it's 3 months old and it's probably stale, but you're still going to eat it. It's anything that you're grabbing because it's convenient versus making that mindful choice because you're not that hungry and you have the time to prepare. You don't have the time to prepare in a mindful manner if you let yourself get too hungry, so it sets yourself up to overeating. Focus on supporting yourself in the first few weeks. Actually, this is ongoing. Always focus on supporting yourself. I'm trying to think of how this is worded, but somebody said this to me the other day, and I thought it was very important. If you're someone who says you're going to do something, are you going to somebody else? So say somebody's ask you, hey, are you going to meet me at this location today? And you're like, yes, I'm going to meet you. Or are you going to get this paper to me by this time? Yes, I will get this to you by this time. If you're able to do things like that for other people, you've got to be able to do them for yourself, right? You are also important and you should be able to do things for yourself. So if you're telling yourself, hey, I'm going to go to the gym today, and then, I'm going at 6:00, I'm going to do this class, and 4:30 is coming around. You're like, I don't really want to go. I'm tired. It's snowy and icy outside. I'd rather sit at home and watch this TV show. This is something now you are lying to yourself and discrediting your own truthfulness of what you're going to do because you're not doing what you said you were going to do. So if you were going to tell somebody else that you're going to make this commitment and you're going to stick to it, you should also have the grace to do that for yourself. So in general, just making sure that you're reevaluating what you really want. If your goals are changing, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with changing your goals. Just make sure whatever you're doing is benefiting you, and these are things that you want. And remember, they should be behavior changes and lifestyle modifications, not short temporary resolutions that are not sustainable and aren't going to get you to where you want in the long run. All right. I hope everybody has a good evening. If there's any questions, please let me know. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Megan. That was great. Like I said, many people, they say research within a couple of weeks, people have already given up on their resolutions. The other half haven't even started. So definitely, I love how you're breaking it down, giving us some grace, but kind of getting us on track. One person said, ask a question. Thank you for giving us some information about rewards. Yes, that cake is not always bad, but always in moderation. There's, applause for cake. But what are some effective ways to stay motivated when you see, the question is what are some effective ways to stay motivated and overcome setbacks during the year? I often get sidetracked on my goal and then feel like I can't get back to being focused.
I think that's the biggest thing. And these are things where I feel excuses come into play, right? They may not be excuses, but you have to think about what you really want. So if you know, and I'm sorry, I keep on going back to very similar topics, but if you go to the gym at like 5:30 in the morning before you go to work and you're laying in bed and you're like, oh, I'm tired. I'd really rather sleep. I don't want to go to the gym. But if you don't go to the gym, you're really not going to feel that great. And then the whole rest of the day, you're going to be like, well, I should have gone to the gym. I should have done that. And now I can't go because I have too many other things to go on during the day. And I've lost my opportunity. And now I feel guilty. And then it starts over the next day. Break the cycle. Okay. Remember that is something you wanted to do. You want to go to the gym because you know it makes you feel better. And if you didn't go to the gym one day and you laid in bed and slept, that's a valid decision that you made in that moment, and acknowledge that. It is okay if you slept in. Don't make yourself feel guilty about it. Just remember that you really actually want to go to the gym because you feel better. So you're just going to go again the next day. And don't delay when you're going to do something. I hear so often like, oh, I'll start on Monday, or I'm going to start after this. No, you start today. Today is the day you're going to start doing this. It can be in a smaller form. It can even be in like a contemplative stage where you're starting to plan on what you're going to do. But whatever change you are making starts today. But remember to give yourself the grace to allow for those setbacks, and that decisions you make during that time are validated. You made them for a reason. But remember what your end goal is, reevaluate that, and just get back on track. It'll be okay, but remembering that what you're doing is likely going to make you feel better in the long run.
And I was on mute all this time of, you're on mute, COVID, you think I would know. I think that was kind of great perspective, and just, again, giving ourselves grace, but staying focused. Shannon, who is our provider in South County, dropped in the chat saying, kind of just following up on what you said, when you're feeling like giving up, remember why you started. And I think that's kind of what you're saying too, is that give yourself some grace. You can't give yourself grace every day because you're not moving forward. But what are your goals that you set out for yourself? And what I liked what you said earlier is like, set a reasonable plan. Don't set yourself up for failure. What are some things you can start out small and then you can grow from there? Give yourself, celebrate those wins when that happens, because how often as human beings we forget to do that and we only focus on what we're not doing right. So next question that we had here is, it says, talking about breaking habits, I struggle with balancing healthy eating and social events and with my busy schedule. Can you elaborate some more on being mentally prepared for those social events?
Knowing what's there and what your substitution is, right? So kind of this kind of goes back to like those holiday tips that we talked about last week. Like say you're going to let's just, I'm trying to think of something. Say you're going to a wedding, okay? You're going to a wedding. You don't, maybe you do or do not know what you're having for dinner. Maybe it's a buffet, maybe it's a plated meal, maybe you RSVP'd what you wanted, but have a backup plan for whatever it is that you're doing. And if you don't have the option to choose different food, this is where we go back to keeping things in moderation. Just eat things in smaller portion sizes. Maybe eliminate the condiments. If you don't want the gravy or the sauce on top, leave that on to the side or don't have it put on at all. If you have the option to double up the veggies versus getting the mashed potatoes, take, do that. Whatever you can do to make a healthier choice in that moment. One meal is not going to make or break you, but you have to be able to get back on track the next day with making a healthier food choice. Even if that's your plan, is to allow yourself to go to the holiday party and knowing it's all going to be like chips and dips and cookies and a bunch of like high calorie foods. You know what? Enjoy it. Take the moment, enjoy that, but keep the portions down. Eat before you go so you're not so hungry that you're now making these less mindful food choices that set you up for overeating.
I think that's great because that's right. When you get there, if you're hungry, that's when kind of the overeating kind of kicks in. And then kind of, as someone said, kind of just that food guilt sometimes that comes in afterwards. That again, if we make the right choices, just being mindful. I love that you say, Meghann, just being mindful, being prepared for that. Everything can come into balance, coming to Premier U, and we start talking about nutrition. One of the biggest things is, what can I eat and what can't I eat? And I know if I'm having a conversation with someone, it's like, well, what do you like to eat? How much do you eat? It's not to say that you can't eat that, because we know when we limit ourselves, our brain says we want that more, right? But how do we feed our body what it truly needs and what we really want sometimes? And what I love what you said at the holiday one last month, and if you haven't seen that one, please check that out, because it does speak to this topic, but this question of when we get into the social situations and we make food so social, how can I still enjoy the conversation, enjoy the food, enjoy the social aspect, but not feel guilty when I leave there about what choices I make? And if you become, taking kind of make what she's saying is you come prepared, you're going to still be able to enjoy that meal or that happy hour or whatever it is and still leave feeling good.
Yeah. And I think another aspect to that too is I feel like a lot of times when we're in social situations, we have this peer pressure. Mm-hmm. It might not be direct, but we have this peer pressure that's like, well, why aren't you eating these foods that I brought? Or I made this dish and aren't you eating it? And you're afraid you're going to offend somebody if you're at their home. You have got to do what's good for you, and you've got to be able to do what's good for your health and well-being. And if that person isn't okay with that, that's really not your problem. You need to worry about yourself and focus on what your goals are and what you want to be doing in that moment. And if you'd rather drink water and eat vegetables, by all means, drink water and eat vegetables and don't worry what anybody else has to think about it.
Yeah, I think that's great. Any other questions? I don't see any more in the chat. I'll give a couple more minutes for those questions in there. As we're waiting for that, as a reminder, we have this group every month. The topics change every month, so we'll have another one in February. How you get this information? We send it out via email. Also, whatever office you're in, we have information there. If you actually like a physical handout, please, ask the office staff or your nurses for that information in their Swansea office, South County, or Marion. You can join us. And if you are unable to join this group live, we understand lives are busy, but this information is important. We would have this on our YouTube channel, or you can ask any of those staff and we can email you this clip and also to any of the handouts. So if you are viewing this and you want a copy of Meghann's handouts, they will be emailed to you. But if you miss it or just you want it sent to you, just ask, call the office or stop by, and we'll be happy to provide that to you. So I don't see any other questions, but Meghann, as always, I appreciate your time and this information. And as always, for our listeners and people who are viewing, please come back. If you have a topic that you want us to discuss, tell the office staff. We are always interested in knowing what people are going to learn from the most to make you the most successful. Because this is 2025, near new year, new you, and we want it to make the best for you. So thank you. Have a good evening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.